Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Red Devils Corner Kick podcast, a fan podcast dedicated to Manchester United Football Club. As always, like, subscribe, follow, whether you're following on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. And don't forget to follow on social media, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, or X. Listen, I hope everyone is still enjoying the post-game celebration of United's win over Arsenal. Yes, it was a great win. We still have lots of stuff that's going on. At this time, we can always celebrate a win, but there's still plenty of things going on at the club. Transfer news, to say the least. Reports are saying that we're not going to be getting any transfers, which is kind of concerning considering we do need one since Patrick Dorgu is now injured. There's rumors of concern that the board is afraid that they may lose out on Champions League if they don't get a transfer. I think that's a spin from what I've been hearing. So just to say the least, yeah, I don't think anything is. I don't think anything is going to happen this week for the transfer. Just to be honest, but like we're losing Dorgu for at least minimum 10 weeks. Could be shorter. They don't know. I know everyone's trying to hope that more tests show that it would be less time. But right now we're not going to have a winger until April. We still have Cunha who can play there. Xerxes will not go anywhere because there's talks of him leaving for a new club or potentially leaving for a club. So we won't have that there. We still need a midfielder because we are one injured midfielder away. Technically, we have 4, but if you consider Bruno and if you put him back in that pivot role, and we need depth. That's the concern that has been, and that's why we had that record with Ruben Amorim up until what happened was depth. We were missing 3 players due to AFCON. We had multiple injuries. Depth was a concern. Depth is still a concern. If you want Champions League in next year, depth has to improve. We can't rely on youth. We need experience. And unfortunately, Ineos and the board or whatever will not be spending any money. We know that. We're going to hear spins about different transfers and what's going on. We're going to hear something later on this week, I'm sure, that's saying that they're going to try, or they did try, but unfortunately wages. You couldn't compete with wages, but you were able to compete with Semenyo and Man City. That's the killer part. Like, they were willing to spend on him, whether that's true or not. That could not even be true. That's probably a spin too. But from what we saw here, they were interested. But if you're interested in that, why aren't we getting depth for midfield? Why didn't we get more players? When you knew players were leaving, why didn't we get more? That's right, I forgot. Ineos and the Glazers and the board are cheap. They are cheap. But apparently not cheap enough to start new contracts with Kobe Mainu, whether that's going to happen. And when they re-sign him, or when they extend his contract, who he's making $20,000 a week, apparently. And rumors are that he's looking to be paid around the same amount as his current coworkers. Some of them are getting paid $150,000. So he wants a bump up of at least $130,000 a week. So we'll see about that. And I get academy player and everything, but that massive pay raise is huge. And again, you're going to be paying for one good game as a starter, one average game as the next one as a starter. And even again, as much as we did win City, he didn't take control. He played very well, but in the end, he was not the reason why we won. In Arsenal, he was bang average. I gave him, he got an assist, he got 6.5, but realistically, he assisted with the game winner, which gave him a little extra love from me. But realistically, other than that, if he didn't get the assist, he's not getting much love in that rating. But and listen, we do need replacements. Again, depth is going to be the concern, like I've been mentioning. So with the depth, again, I'll go to that, and I was just about to bring up the protest. But yeah, losing. Let's look at the depth and everything. Let's focus on this before I get to the protest. Not having Dorgu for at least minimum 10 weeks does hurt. He's been our most consistent player since the Christmas break, or since Boxing Day. He's been explosive on the wing. There's talks that he will be permanently being at that position, and he plays very well, and he also tracks back. It does suck about the hamstring, and you can see the potential there. The one thing is now, who do we put there? Obviously, it's going to be Cunha, which means we need a piece on the bench to replace what Cunha can bring on, which means we'll probably see Xerxes potentially coming on, or you might see a youth player, or potentially Mason Mount. We're in a situation here where, and what may happen is, and actually, you know what could happen is you may see Sesko starting now. That's the one thing I would think of. If you want to keep Cunha off the bench and keep Cunha on the bench and bring that on for that energy, then you have to start Sesko. I think that's what's going to be happening. I think that's what's going to happen this weekend. I think Sesko will start. I'll be doing my preview Thursday. I'll be doing my preview on Thursday for the Fulham game, and then Friday I'll be doing my preview for the women's game, which is on the same day against Liverpool. So yes, but yeah, because we have depth to, like, we have pieces in certain spots where you can rearrange it. So what you could do is you can have Sesko start, and then you can move Mbuemo to the other wing, and then you have Ahmad, Bruno, and Mbuemo has those three, and then Sesko as your starter. That can potentially work. And when we're playing Fulham this week, and we do have challenges with Fulham, let's not take that away. We have our struggles, and we had that struggle at the beginning of the year, but realistically, how do I say this? Having the depth piece there, having the option to put that starting striker there, and then moving Mbuemo to another position, to another wing, works. It does. And you can either put Mbuemo back on the left, and then you move Ahmad to the right, put Mbuemo on the right, and you can move Ahmad to the left. Or you just bring Cunha on as the striker, but it's tough to say. And I'm not going to, I don't want to get stuck in doing predictions for this. Because I might as well just do my prediction now against Fulham, but no. But the depth can be a concern, and that's why we kept talking about the transfers. We definitely do need pieces, but again, we are playing once a week, but we also need to start attracting players. So it's hard to predict, but this board needs to start realizing that Ruben Amorim was right. Listen, he was right all along when he called him out. Like, let's not pretend that he wasn't. Like, remember, Amorim was sacked for speaking the truth, not because of results. It's right there. He wasn't sacked for that. He wasn't. Yeah, but we need, like I said, I can reiterate depth, but what will this board do? What Wilcox and Omar Barada going to do? They're saying that this is a top 4 squad. Cool. I don't think it was, because again, right now, Liverpool are playing like shit. Newcastle are playing better, but they need to start improving. Crystal Palace is now sellers. I expected them. Brentford is slowly improving. Bournemouth is just beat Liverpool on the weekend. So there's no way this board was expecting us. Again, I'll keep reiterating the prediction show that I did. There was at least 9 teams, 9 to 10 teams that we had to fight with just to get into the top half of the league. I mentioned Brentford, I mentioned Bournemouth, I mentioned Crystal Palace. I expected Tottenham to improve as well. Nottingham Forest. There was also Villa. There were many clubs that were expected to be competing with. And I think I said top 8, top 6, but I gave a very concerned top 6 because of who we were battling with. But realistically, it can still happen. When you look at the table, it can still potentially happen to say, hey, here we go. Because, we're in 4th now. Chelsea, which is 5th. Liverpool is 6th. Fulham, yes, and I should have mentioned Fulham. Fulham, Brentford, Newcastle, Everton, who has slowly picked it up. Sunderland, who kind of has gone backwards as of late. Brighton, who's hasn't and as much as I'm happy that we're in 4th and there's still 15 games to go, there's still 15 games to go. We haven't clinched anything, and I've mentioned that before. If we had drawn and just sat in 5th and all this stuff, and we're talking about Champions League and 4th, sitting in 4th today does not guarantee us sitting in 4th in May. If we were losing out and trying to get into top 4 or drawing and all that stuff when it meant the final weeks of the Prem, then yeah, I would be losing it. But there's still time to screw it up. I shouldn't be saying, oh, but there's still opportunity. There's still a chance that United can bottle it. And I don't want to sound negative. I don't. I always go into every game that. But I'm just saying, we won 2 games, 2 clubs that we always show up to. We're going into a weekend to a team that we do struggle with. We do struggle with Fulham. Let me just take a look at our next fixtures. Yeah, Fulham, Tottenham, West Ham, Everton. Those are our next. Yeah, well, let's go Fulham, Tottenham, West Ham. Those are our next 3 games. We struggled with Fulham at the beginning of the year. We struggled with Tottenham, and we struggled with West Ham. These are the teams that we struggle with. These are the teams that the players decide not to show up for because they think it's below them. And this is where we see what's going on. This is where we see Amram, we will see every manager who has said the truthful stuff about what happens when we play these types of teams. The challenge was we knew the challenge was going to be Man City and Arsenal to try and get points. But the real stretch of proving that we're consistent is now. If we lose to Fulham on Sunday, who cares about the 2 wins? For real. Realistically, who cares? Who cares if we win City and Arsenal, but we blow the next 3? I won't care. Some people are going to highlight, oh, well, Carrick, but guess what? Carrick's going to get blamed by this fan base if we lose the next 3. And the board still hasn't done anything to help. They're not going to. Which gets me to now, the protest is this Sunday. There was talks of fans deciding that we shouldn't be protesting because we won against Arsenal and Man City. That's a spin, and I don't think many fans are actually thinking that. But the ownership, the model, the board, Wilcox, Barada, they're still failing the club. They are. And I hope those that are able to attend the protest, I hope everything goes well. I really do. Unfortunately, I'm on the other side of the world, so I can't really attend the protest. But realistically, we can't let everything that's been going on like make us lose focus. I love how United dropped a new apparel too this past weekend. Like, who cares? Like, it's great, cool. Ineos and Ratcliffe and Barada are still shit. They still sacked another manager after being told what was wrong. Now there's reports of concern that they need to get a player in because they may lose out on Champions League. The stretch of games I just mentioned are the biggest stretch that we need to prove, especially with the last 2 games. They always show up in big 6 games, but will they show up against Fulham? Will they show up against Tottenham? Will they show up against West Ham? Everton, Palace. What will this squad do? There's pressure, yeah. But Ineos or the protest, like the protest is highlighting what's going on. Like this group, this board is exactly what the protest is. And the one thing too is I know they mentioned it's secondary. The regeneration project has to be fought against too. It has to be. We can't let that go through. You're gonna want you want them gone. You're gonna have to target the regeneration as well. Why? Because if they get approval and everything, they're staying. You just found a way for them to make even more money. For ways for this club to be terrible. But we're still well over billions of dollars in debt. Our revenue has been terrible. As you saw that chart that just came out last week. And they're trying ways to spin against that. Sorry, but it's still there. The club is in financial ruin. We're, again, over $1 billion in debt because the owners leveraged against the club when they bought it. So, but yeah. But no, like let's for whatever goes on this week with the club, we still have to remember that the protest is going on. And I'm going to remind the protest on Thursday. We've been reminding the protest on Friday too. But let's also remember this: the women's squad, the academy, this all falls under Ineos and all them too. Because Ineos, I don't even think they're even focused on the women's squad. We're giving them funding. The women's squad is on their way to a trophy, or on their way to potentially winning a trophy. They're on their way to a cup final. They're in Champions League. They're going to be facing off against Atletico very soon. They are in the next round of the FA Cup. They just won big against Aston Villa on the weekend. I don't see anything big with Ineos and all of them discussing the success of the women's squad. This is for the ownership of the club, not just the men's squad, but everything with Manchester United. Get them gone. Get everything just gone and get ownerships here who are willing to do what's right for this club. So I'm going to leave that there. It kind of may have just seemed like a very dry episode, and I do apologize for that as well. So I'll be back on Thursday doing the preview. Friday will be the women's episode as well. Getting ready for their game against Liverpool on Sunday. It's another doubleheader. More features of the game. So keep an eye out for that. But yes, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, whether it's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. And as well, Instagram, TikTok, or X on social media. So yeah, I'll be back again. Yes, I'm still working towards going live for my first episode for that cup final, which is happening February 22nd. So please keep an eye out for that. I'm slowly going to be building that. So I will give you more notice when that does as well. And then, yes, when I'm back Thursday, I'll talk a little bit more. See what happens with signings because we're coming near the end of the last transfer window and so on and so forth. And then Friday as well, the preview as well. So enjoy the rest of your night. I'll talk to you guys Thursday. This is the Red Devils Corner Kick Podcast. Glory, glory, Man United.